Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw on the Allen Report. We come to you twice a week, talk all things hockey, some cooking, some general events.
Yeah, life advice. Yeah, a little life advice. Talk about the grandkids. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's start talking a bit about. There's a bit of news in Arizona, and
Mhm.
I find it curious that not everybody's excited about this news, and that is that Gary Bettman has gone to the Tempe Council and said that the NHL would be willing to give a 30-year guarantee that the Arizona Coyotes would not be moved if they can get this arena passed. And of course, the council voted unanimously to do it. But now it's up to the voting public. And, there was the great debate about, I think it was James Madison, who didn't have much faith in the voting electorate. And in this case, I might agree with them. I'm not sure what people are going to say about investing.
Yeah, the history in Glendale that didn't go well for the Glendale people building that arena. So yeah.
No, although, in fairness, and I don't know a whole lot about Arizona geography, even though I started my journalism career out there, but not in that area. And from what I've been told, essentially, Glendale was not where the hockey fans were, and a arena in the Tempe area would put them in the heart of what could be called hockey country.
Yeah. Well, when they played downtown, when they first got there, it was downtown Phoenix. That building's packed all the time. I remember Dallas Drake was a client of mine, and he played there, and they got great crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was exciting, and there are people who think that that could still end up being an option if the voting electorate doesn't give them a new arena, because the NBA owner there, NBA team owner, has to sell his team, and the thought would be that, he was the person that was blocking the having the Coyotes as a joint tenant. But now I think if a new owner might be open to that.
Sure. So, yeah, makes sense. It's another tenant, right? It's another night that you've got.
Yeah.
Somebody in your building. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why people. Well, I mean, I guess I do know. I think some people think that the NHL has bent over backwards to keep the Coyotes, and they've put themselves in an embarrassing position. And to be honest with you, as much as I'm intrigued, interested, fascinated by the idea of playing NHL games in a college-sized arena right now, I also agree that it never should have gotten to this point.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you can defend, allowing this to kind of happen.
Right.
So
I guess they were confident they were going to get another building put up before that all got to that point. But
yeah, I mean, I think they still are confident about that. And if you look at it, the logic of it all, it does make some sense in terms of the size of the Arizona TV market. You've created now a hockey corridor out there with Arizona and Vegas, and the Mighty Ducks are the Ducks, Anaheim Ducks, and the Los Angeles Kings. I mean, those are all, as long as you're willing to drive a few hours, that's sort of a driving group there. I mean, you can.
I never thought about that. That's true, because when I played out in LA, there was no driving. All you did was drive to the airport. That was
yeah. So I mean, it's still a fair piece. But when I was living in Arizona and working there, I had friends in LA, and I would drive there.
Oh, okay.
So it was, I can't recall now. It's been a lot of years, but it felt like 4 or 5 hours, maybe 5 or 6. I don't know, but. Certainly you can drive to Vegas.
That is true. The league has really bent over backwards to try to keep that team there.
Yeah.
A lot of lost money, right? Those owners are losing a lot of money. But whereas, like, you think back with Atlanta, it wasn't quickly they made the decision to move out of there, but it didn't last for years, right? It was like.
No, but I think that was a different scenario. I think they felt that, they had multiple owners. It was a conglomerate, and it was. I think it was, and your good friend Don Waddell was the president, and I know Gary Bettman said publicly more than once that it was only through Don Waddell's magic as a team president that kept that team afloat, because it was like herding cats. You had to get all these owners to agree, and it was,
they were suing as soon as they got in there. The owners
Yeah.
started suing each other. And you mentioned about Don too. They actually ended up making money on that team too. So that was pretty amazing that they made money.
Yeah, I mean, he did a really good job of keeping it afloat when he was. One of his, he's done really well now that he's in Carolina as a general manager. But there are many people who say he's a better team president than a GM. But I don't know how you can argue with what he's done since he's taken over a GM of Carolina. Although, if you look back at his record when he was in Atlanta, the drafting record was not good. They just didn't create the type of team that I think they wanted to look. But you're right. I mean, getting back to where we started this question, it felt like they ran the Thrashers out of town pretty quickly. Although I think Gary Bettman would say, it's a different scenario because there seemed to be no hope in Atlanta. Like they had exhausted everything trying to get local ownership, trying to get a situation there that was better, and they couldn't do it, and that they were going to solve a lot of problems. And they knew, obviously, you don't have to think twice whether a franchise is going to work in a Canadian market. So.
And they put the rink in the wrong place too, right? It was downtown where all the people lived outside. It was I don't think Atlanta is really a great sports town too, right? They say that about the Braves and the Falcons,
although it is changing now. I wonder if we may circle back at some point to Atlanta. So
and Houston's out there too. I still think Houston would be a good market, but
although when I talked to and you were more involved down at the time, but I've talked to other general managers who don't agree with you. They say that while there's things to like about it, the size of the market, having a natural rival for Dallas and all that, the arena situation would not be good. That the guy that owns the NBA team has no interest in the NHL team, and only would be helpful in that he wants a second tenant, but is not willing to give up prime dates, and that arena is well utilized. So the team that goes in there would be looking at some pretty horrendous scheduling situations. So there's some negativity there.
There's one I never thought about. How about San Diego?
Yeah. They were actually involved with a bid years ago. People have forgotten this. And I remember this specifically, that one of the issues that was brought up is how long it would take to build an arena there because of all the regulations that goes into getting buildings up and all that kind of stuff. So, it was going to take, even though they have the good weather, which facilitates a quicker build, you got to get land inspected, and it takes, EPA issues, and it takes a little bit longer for that. I just remember that from when that was up. But I mean, wouldn't players love a West Coast trip that included, some time in Southern California.
Well, how about Toronto? Another team in the Toronto market. You don't think that's ever going to happen?
Well, not anytime real soon, because they've got some other areas I think that they would like to go to.
But is there a better market than another team in Toronto?
No. I mean, I would think of that. Although I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of emotion tied up in the Maple Leafs.
There's so many hockey crazed fans there. Like the waiting list, they say, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and maybe it's right. Maybe people are just want to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. They don't want to be with another team in Toronto. Maybe that's the case. I don't know.
But look at I think they felt that the New Jersey people would instantly become Devils fans when that team plunked there because they couldn't get Ranger tickets. But most of the New Jersey Rangers fans pretty much have stayed with the Rangers.
Yeah, very true. But then there's always new people coming in. Like with the Islanders, they've got their group of fans a little bit smaller. But yeah, I just think there's if we're looking around to find another market, you know what the hockey market is like there. But you raise a good point. Maybe they're just Leaf fans and not just hockey fans. But
I wonder what the indemnification would be for that too. I mean, how much would you have to give the Maple Leafs?
I don't think there's a rule like that.
There is for sure.
Oh, I don't think so. I remember that was debated years ago, and Gary Bettman came out and said it's just not the case.
Well, everybody else has paid. Like the Ducks paid the Kings when they come their market. So I think
really?
that, yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. We can look that up. That's a good. I mean, we've always operated as if remember when the Hamilton bid came up. Right. Yeah, about how much they were going to have to pay the Maple Leafs.
But I don't know if it was. And this is my recollection. I thought it was said that it wasn't necessarily a rule. It's just that it was kind of like as part of the process here to make it easier on the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're going to pay them some money. I didn't know. I thought that's the way it went. That Gary Bettman said it really wasn't a rule necessarily. But I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, let's look that up right now. As a matter of fact, so.
Well, Danny Harrison's saying that the Islanders paid the Rangers too. So maybe I'm wrong there. But again, I guess my question more is it actually a rule? But interesting. Hey, I know you're looking that up. It's interesting. I just looked on the NHL site. Did you see the big hat thing that's going on?
The big hat thing? No, I don't know.
So I guess it started with the Washington Commanders player. I guess they won the game and he got a big hat. So they did that with Kuznetsov with the Capitals. I guess he got started the game or whatever, and they gave him the big hat. So I guess it's becoming something moving around, but interesting.
Yeah, okay, I'm looking this up there.
I thought that was my big head. That makes sense. Huh. Here's some other ideas. Milwaukee. Did you see the Torch? Let me see here. Susan's got herself a little. Did you see Torch compared Morgan Frost to a toilet seat up and down? I didn't see that.
No.
That sounds like Torch, though. Oh, man, that's funny. That's good.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
That's really good. I like that. It's interesting. I was doing a podcast. I'm starting a new podcast. I had Mike Hartman on that played for, him from the Detroit area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, my disdain for Ted Sater, he actually enjoyed playing for Ted Sater in Buffalo. Interesting. I take it. He's a very intelligent guy, too. Like, he had his rationale for what Sater might have liked about him. But,
yeah.
What'd you find out?
I can't be able to find anything. So,
yeah.
Sure, I'll have to pay. If I can't find anything out, I'll send the email out to Bill Daly and we'll talk about it on the next show. But let me look one more.
Yeah. So, and I actually, when I was I still do a little bit of this little dabbling and trying to find money for pro sports teams. And I remember I made a phone call to the people. I think it was the vice president or somebody that was running the Houston arena. And it didn't. Yeah, I mean, he was kind of more looking to say, well, he had a minor league team there in the past that really didn't do well. They didn't think that the hockey market there was that good. That was their take on it. But I guess, like you said, they really don't care about that. It's really just getting somebody else in the building. Now let's pick the Rangers. Milwaukee's another option. Milwaukee big enough? How about Quebec City? Do they ever go back to Quebec City again?
Oh, they are. They're going to go back there, but it's low-hanging fruit. But, despite all the progress that the NHL has made in terms of expanding their footprint, I mean, there's still a gate revenue-driven league. I mean, we really discovered that during the pandemic when we realized that, the bulk of their revenue still comes from gates. So, and they fill their arenas for games. Like the NHL plays to a high degree of capacity, like it's in the 90s.
Yep.
Which is certainly like better than baseball and probably not football, but okay, here it is somewhere right here. Second, okay, I got something here. Let me just look it up here. This is
I have a complaint to Susan too while you're looking that up. So she posted. I thought her and I were really tight. She posted online the other day where she was getting her picture taken with Ron Duguay and somebody else. So it really was kind of I felt that a little bit disloyal, but that's just me. My feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some sympathy, Kevin. And you're not giving it to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But I would say this, and I hate to say this, but the things you worry about sometimes befuddle me. So,
Really?
yeah. Like
But
why
so
would you?
Susan's loyalty to me, you don't think is important.
Well, I don't even think that has anything to do with loyalty. I think it's someone just taking a photo.
Oh, really? You don't think she'd say, well, listen, I only get my picture taken with Tom.
Yeah. Do you think I don't know. I just wouldn't expect anybody to do that. But
Oh, okay. All right.
anyway, but I'm sure Susan has had a photo taken with you, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'd have another one taken with you too.
Yeah,
I
sure,
could
but
be wrong. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
she's starting something here. She could be a little agitator. So
Yeah, it's true. And actually, the last event I was at that she was at too was at Pen 6, the restaurant down in the city. And Darren Langdon was also there. And basically got blown off there too. She was very, like, all she wanted to do was talk to Darren Langdon. So maybe there's a little bit of a pattern here.
yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I couldn't get that story open. So
Okay.
she's empathetic. So
Empathetic.
Empathy, right, Tom?
I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, we'll look at that. I feel pretty confident on that.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since we've talked about that. Could the rules have changed? Maybe I'm wrong, but I know for sure that in the past you've had to pay, write a check to that team, and I remembered when it was discussed before that they thought it would break all kinds of records, which you'd have to pay the Maple Leafs for that, because basically it's a 50-mile or 70-mile radius or something of that nature. So, I know for sure that Disney paid off Bruce McNall. So,
well, he didn't have the team. Did he have the team when? Did Bruce have the team when he came? It doesn't matter. They paid the Kings either way. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he had the team then. He got it in '90, and they came in the early '90s. So
he got it before '90. He got it. Wayne was traded in what, '89?
He got it in. Yeah, it was Bruce McDonald that
he had it in '88.
Right.
Yeah.
When
so here's another thing. This is maybe another thing that I shouldn't be concerned about. But Danny Erickson's wife thinks that I'm full of myself, that I think too highly of myself. So we're trying to set up a little rendezvous. We can clear the air a little bit. So just wanted to know that.
You don't think you're full of yourself?
I think I love myself.
Well, you're a hockey player. Well, you should love yourself. Yeah, but you're a hockey player. I think if you're a pro athlete, I think that just comes with the turf. And I think, I've said this before, like self-confidence is crucial to being a pro athlete.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Better believe yourself. So here's an article I found. The Islanders paid. So let me see. The Islanders, once a pro fan, is now a laughing stock. They paid $4.5 million to the Rangers.
Yeah, that was in 1980. What do you think that would be now?
Yeah, good point.
That was in the 80s. What am I talking about? That was in the 70s. Yeah. But I was just thinking of when they started winning there, being successful. So, yeah. So,
I'm going to do some more.
Yeah, a couple other things to talk about, a little bit here, but Alex Ovechkin last night, 2-goal game. How many multiple goal games do you think Alex has?
Multiple goal games. I'm going to say 100.
Yeah, 160.
Oh, 160. Wow, that many. Wow.
160 games in which he scored 2 or more goals. I just think about that. Now, what's even more remarkable is, he's chasing down Wayne Gretzky's records, and we'll talk about that. But he erased one of them last night when he got his 2 goals with his 403rd goal game on the road, which means he has scored more goals on the road than he's scored at home.
Wow.
Because he's got like 794.
Right.
So that took down Wayne Gretzky's record of 402 road.
That's pretty impressive.
No, and Wayne had a lot more goals at home than he did on the road. But so that was 4-3. But in saying that, he hasn't. The only player who's had more multiple goal games than Alex Ovechkin is the great one. How many do you think he had?
Oh God, I'm going to say if Alex got 160, I say Wayne is at 250.
Yeah, he's a 189.
189. Okay.
And there's nobody between, of course not, Alex and Wayne.
Right.
So, and last night, and this is, I thought it was Dylan Strom had a great quote. Dylan Strom said, Ovi's had 13 goals this year, and I think in 8 or 9 of them, we've celebrated some record that he has broken on those goals. And I think that's true because last night he tied Jaromir Jagr's record for the most first goals of the game.
Wow.
So how many think he had of those? How many games do you think Alex Ovechkin and Jagr, the game started and they scored the first goal?
I'm going to have to say 125.
That's really a close guess. 133, I think it was.
Very cool. Wow.
Or 133 or 135. One of the.
I wonder how many first goals of the game I got.
None?
I invested at 0. Pretty good shot.
Yeah. So, and they keep track of that stat because they think that's a good indicator because, the majority of games are won by the team that scores first.
Right.
So I know among active players, I think Dylan Larkin leads for the Red Wings in that category.
Oh, really? Wow.
I know for sure over the last 2 years he has led. So,
very cool.
he's got like 15 of them, I think.
Yeah, that was an interesting discussion having about Larkin and his contract situation. I was thinking about it more. I was thinking like the theory I had was that Bertuzzi probably thinks that he's going to get a certain percentage of Larkin's. That's my guess, and Yzerman knows that, and so he's saying, "Well, I'm not going to get Larkin's contract done because then Bertuzzi and I are going to walk in and think he gets 80% of what."
Yeah. The only thing for that is he's playing a dangerous game if that's the strategy.
Right, I agree totally. Yeah.
So yeah. Or I think it just could be. I mean, I really do think it can be just as simple as he thinks Dylan wants more than he should, and I have the impression, and I could be wrong on this. And it's hard to know what Steve is thinking because he doesn't discuss these things. He really does not discuss contract talks. That's not his thing.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting from the player side too, because you think Larkin's been very open about it. You've said this many times about how much he wants to stay in Detroit. He loves playing in Detroit.
Right.
From there, and from the Players Association side, and obviously for his agent, they're probably saying, "Oh my God, be quiet," because like Steve Yzerman hears that stuff, and if he's normally worth $9 million, if Steve Yzerman says, "Well, I'm going to offer him $8 million," that the trickle down effect, that's what the Players Association doesn't want, and obviously the agent doesn't want that either. So.
Yeah, although I'll repeat what I said last time. I was there for the first game, first training camp, first day of training camp to Steve Yzerman, and I have covered him throughout his career. And I am confident when I say that Steve Yzerman does not care what Dylan Larkin thinks about. He does what he thinks is right, and.
But he will care though, in that he thinks he can get a better deal. Like Yzerman can get a better deal because the player wants to stay.
Yeah, but I don't think that I don't think that's why he's doing it. I mean, you look at think about Marty St. Louis, that trade. Who is the guy he drafted? He's now on Montreal, drafted 3rd overall. His history with trades is he does it his way. He always has. Look at Steve Stamkos. Steven Stamkos was even then and still is a tremendous impact player. Mm-hmm. And how many general managers are willing to say, "Go ahead, Steven, go right to free agency if you feel strongly about it. I won't stand in your way."
Yeah, very true. Right.
How many general managers are willing to do that? I mean, Steve Yzerman he comes up with what he thinks is the right thing for the team. Right. And then he just kind of follows that pattern, regardless of what everyone else does.
Who do you think, though, in the Stamkos case? I mean, he knew the fact that the state taxes there's no state tax in Florida, so obviously he's getting a better deal. So a $9 million offer that he would get from the Toronto Maple Leafs compared to the $9 million offer he gets from the Tampa Bay Lightning is a whole different ballgame, right? It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a difference.
Yeah, well, the tax situation is certainly not true in Michigan. Right. So I mean, I think he has just always kind of done it his way.
Right.
And Marty, if you remember, Marty St. Louis said, "I only want to be traded to the Rangers."
Right.
If you remember, so
Yeah.
and Steve just shrugged. So
Yeah.
I think if he couldn't have negotiated a deal, I just don't think he would have traded him. And
Right. Interesting.
so,
Yeah.
But getting back to Ovechkin, I hadn't closed out there. He's now 100 goals away from Wayne, or 101, and he's averaging 44 goals this season. If he stays on that pace, and he holds that pace for the next for this year, next full year, and then he would then break Wayne Gretzky's record sometime in.
And how old is Ovechkin?
He's 37, so he would be 40. So.
Yeah, he keeps himself in shape. I mean, he doesn't look like he's slowing down at all, right?
Well, no, I mean 44 is a pretty darn good pace for age 37.
Yeah. Wow, that's a record I didn't think anybody would ever break.
Oh no, me either.
Yeah.
Now it seems, I don't know, does it seem likely? Can you be 40 years old and expect a 40-goal season?
Well, maybe you don't expect a 40-goal season at 40 years old. Maybe you have to play another full year or whatever, right? So the pace must have to slow down at some point. So maybe it slows down to a 34-goal pace, and they just got to play longer. But
you're the right guy to ask on this. I mean, because of the workout, like the 40-year-old today is different. I mean, couldn't he develop a training regimen that would keep him?
Absolutely. So Zdeno Chara is a good example, right? After 40 years old, he started changing his training program, and he knew he needed to change things. So yeah, I mean, I have the bulging disc in the back that a lot of people have, and that's really what forced me to retire. Well, maybe it's time for me to retire, anyways. But now my back doesn't bother me at all because I've learned how to train better, train my core. Diet has a huge part of it, so your energy level goes up. Taking care of yourself better, hydration, all those different kinds of things. Amino acids I didn't know anything about before, how healthy they are for your body. So yeah, if he's willing to make those changes, if it's important to him to play long enough, there's plenty of things you can do to play till you're 45 years old. Look at Tom Brady, how he's still doing things. So yeah, it's totally fine. Again, you know what it is? It's the mental part. Are you willing to make the changes? Are you willing to do the extra things you have to do to maintain your body and play past 40 years old?
Yeah. I think it's cool that his son is reaching an age now where he can appreciate who his dad is. I mean, because that doesn't always happen,
Very true.
Players get married a little bit later because they like their single lifestyle. And then their children start to arrive late in their career. So, they don't get to appreciate their
my kids are still they're over it now. But when they got to be old enough and people would recognize me or say something about me, they're like, "Really? This is my dad." Like he's, it was strange for them to see it at first. We went to the Garden one time, and we were just sitting down. It must have been 10 years ago, and we're just sitting down, or maybe longer. And they had a video up there. Stan Fisher was going over like the underrated players from the Rangers or something like that, and I was on that list. And my sons are sitting there watching it, going, "Like you were really pretty good."
Wow. Yeah. Now, did you have your kids after your career was over? Or?
Yes. Yep. Both my sons. I was done playing. Yep. So it was right after I retired from the Kings. My oldest son Shane was born. So he's 32 now. So yeah, it was like a year after. And then we'd moved to Michigan to go into the agent business, and my second son was born in Michigan. So. Yeah.
Did either of your kids play hockey?
My older one did. Shane. Yeah, he was a goaltender. I really credit it, not just because it was hockey, but his role now in his career. He's the director of investor relations for this Kronos. It's a large cannabis company out of Toronto, and his role basically has become, if there's ever a problem with something, they just handed the show. And he was like that when he played, where he wasn't the best athlete, but he wanted to play on the high school team. They already had 5 goaltenders in Rye, New York. So he was going to be a forward, but his skating wasn't that good. So he went up to this place up in Stamford, Connecticut, had a skating treadmill. It's called Blue Streak. And all summer long worked on it, like 2 or 3 times a week, worked on his skating. And his skating still wasn't great, but the coach really wanted him on the team because of his work ethic, his dedication and everything. And he's become, I really think he learned a lot of that through hockey. It could have been another sport. And again, it wasn't me pushing him too. It was himself doing it. So it was really, I think it was a great, and I say that to parents all the time now. with sports, one of the biggest things you can get out of it is the life lessons for later on in life, and I totally believe that. But you gotta, again, the key for me was I didn't tell him to do it. And I didn't even bring it up. I think he knew about it and decided he wanted. I had to give him a ride at the time because he wasn't old enough. But and I think that's some of the keys. It's not the parents setting up all these special things for the kids to make them do things. It's to say, okay, listen, if you want to make it, you go figure out a way to get it done. So it's good.
Yeah. Want to talk a little bit about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I saw them live. They were in Detroit. And boy, are they playing well defensively. Or let me rephrase that. They're playing better than expected defensively without, missing all those guys. And they're playing a very simple game. But,
Right.
They won 4-2 over a Detroit team that played pretty well that game too. Although Ville Husso did not have a good game. Like if he would have been the Ville Husso that we had seen throughout the season, that probably could have been a 2-2 game or something of that going into the third period.
So it is the case we talk about, right? With the Leafs are out their top 3 defensemen.
Yeah.
And now we've got to play a different brand of hockey here, guys, if we're going to win.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There were some pro scouts there who were kind of discussing about how long an NHL team, how long can you sustain that?
Right.
Because we do see that, and I mean, what do you think on that? Like before you just sort of get back to your old, habits, can you do that a month or 3 weeks?
I think you can do it for an extended period of time if you've got the right guys in the locker room and say, listen, guys, this is the way we have to play. We're showing ourselves this is the way we have to play. Maybe that's a blessing for them too, because before, you're a talented team. You look at like how good Marner is and how good, Tavares is and all these guys. And the coach would say all he wants is, guys, we need to do the right thing, do the right things here, do the right things here. But they get away with winning because there's such a talented team. But now they say, okay, we don't have all that talent on the back end, obviously. So now we have to play that different game. And all of a sudden they go, oh, okay, now I see what the coach was talking about. So I think you can, if you got the right guys in the locker room, I think you can do that for an extended period of time.
Yeah, well, it makes some sense. I mean, but anyway, I tried to pay attention to whether the forwards are playing better defensively. I guess you can make that argument, but the Red Wings had a lot of shots. Matt Murray was actually good in that game too. We may be eating crow on him in terms of I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could get hurt again, but like he's looked pretty good during this period after.
But that's the case with him, though, right? He's shown in the past that he can play. There's never a question.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. But I didn't think, to be honest with you, though, I didn't think he played in Ottawa, even when he was healthy, as well as he had in Pittsburgh.
I agree.
But one thing, in that game against Detroit, it was a odd man break, 3-on-1. Austin Matthews coming over in high slot and just ripped a shot, and just the release and that high shot that just zips past the goalie's ear. How many guys can execute that?
I know,
play like that. And then the same thing, Marner had a shot from the slot, and again, just boom, the chance was there, and boom, it was in the net.
The one-timers. Now, I watched practice one time with the Rangers, and the guy shooting the one-timers, just hard passes too, like coming across and being able to do it. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. We got the Rangers. Okay, so we have to bring up the Rangers here.
Yeah,
they're struggling, and Shesterkin is struggling as well. I mean, I shouldn't know if it's struggling, but not playing like he did last year for sure. And it kind of exposes a little bit. You wonder how much was it just Shesterkin last year? Because the team plays the way the team plays, and he bailed them out in a lot of games. He's not having the year he had last year too. So I don't wonder what's going on with the Rangers. But
yeah, do you think there's any? I mean, they're not going to fire Gallant, are they?
I don't, because he's coaching the same way now he did last year, and he's coaching the same way when they hired him. So I don't think it's a coach thing. The players just aren't playing, and he's very clear with how he coaches. And listen, the players have got to figure things out. I'm not going to be this X's and O's guys, making them play this.
Well, they're and his MO is 3 years, and it's only his second year. So he can't get out of his third year usually.
Yeah, I know.
So, but it is interesting. I mean, we've talked about this before. Just he was the toast of the town for a while, and now they're all over them. But and that, everybody sees the warts when the team's not going bad. I mean, this is the same way the defense played
Yep.
last season, where they took chances. I pointed that out. Only one playoff team gave up a high number of high danger scoring chances, and that was the New York Rangers last season.
Right. And Shesterkin, even in the Pittsburgh series, Shesterkin had a couple of subpar games, and they lost those games. And once he got back to playing his way, then they were okay. So,
yeah. So, and I get if your goaltending is on top of the game, and we saw that with the Buffalo Sabres with Dominik Hasek was there.
Yep.
He would just save their bacon.
So you wonder then, who's more valuable to their team? I'm not saying the most valuable player necessarily. Well, I guess that is the most valuable player. Is it Connor McDavid? Is it Shesterkin? Like, so you watch the Rangers now, Shesterkin's not playing the way he was last year. So it shows how valuable he is to his team, right? You kind of like, is there somebody else? Is Connor McDavid more valuable?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you take Connor McDavid out of that lineup. Now, they still have Draisaitl, who's a heck of a player. But, the Oilers seem pretty ordinary without.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Ordinary, that's got a negative connotation. But they just don't seem that they're as nearly as impressive. I'm a big I just enjoy watching Connor McDavid play. He just can make so many plays at such a high speed.
Yeah,
it's really incredible. So
he's scary. He do it all the time too, and he does, like, he's going so fast, he's hardly moving his feet sometimes too. It's incredible to watch him.
Yeah, I remember Scotty Bowman, and he laughed when he said it because he knew it was ludicrous. But he said about Paul Coffey, it always seems like he could pick up speed when he was coasting. And then Scotty laughed, but. And I know what he means. We've always known Coffey when he'd get going, and then, all of a sudden he'd be coasting, and it felt like he was starting to go faster. And that's not true, but
I know, but it's amazing to watch because it does look like it's true. You're right.
No. So it was, there are some, I remember watching Nick Leddy catch Connor McDavid. He had a YouTube video on it. John Tavares told me about it, and then I looked on YouTube. Right. He said we just couldn't believe it, but let it caught Connor McDavid from behind. And the YouTube video may still be out there, but he did catch him from behind. So
how about the big defenseman there? That was the one rookie of the year, Seider.
Moritz Seider.
How's he doing in Detroit?
He's still doing fine. It's a little bit different for him now because the mandate is different. They want their defense to play a very simple style. Puck comes into your zone, you get it out.
I hope they don't change the way he plays.
Well, they did a little bit. He didn't take a lot of chances last year, but now he's playing a little bit more conservatively. I
think that's wasting a talent like that.
Yeah.
He dominated sometimes last year.
And he started to pick it up a little bit. He got off to a slow start offensively because they're really trying to emphasize this, and it's really made a difference. I looked it up the other day, and they were last in dangerous scoring chances against, and this year they're in the top 10 and giving up the fewest. I think they're 7th or 8th. So it's made a difference. But all of a sudden, about, I would say 5 games ago, you could see, like, he got a goal the other night where he was he picked up the loose change in front of the net on a scramble. So the fact he was down near the net shows you that he just said, I'm going down. I'm just
I think that when players like that, he's got those instincts, he's got those abilities. Man, I think it's a shame to harness him a little bit, but that's
But he's still a great player. Lucas Raymond, the other top player, he had his ups and downs too, where he isn't as consistent as he was last year. So we'll have to kind of follow that.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah,
I forgot to use my microphone. I'm doing the whole show and I haven't got the microphone from me.
Oh wow,
makes a little difference.
Yeah, but you sounded fine though.
Oh, okay. I guess you got a big mouth, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, and I think doing it out there, it seems quiet out by the palm tree. So
that's true. On the beach, you're right. Good point.
Yeah, it does. It seems a little bit quiet. So anyway, but we appreciate everyone tuning in. It's time to move on, but we'll be back again next week to talk more hockey and more. We didn't talk anything about Tom's cooking today, so
I know.
yeah.
And then later on tonight, I'll be up at the Taft School up in Watertown, Connecticut. We've got the little clinic for the Rangers there, and then really fun event on Saturday. I'll be at the Jacob J. Javits Convention Center. It's a Jacob Javits Convention Center. They have the Special Olympics there, the floor hockey, so we're giving out the awards there on Saturday. I think it starts around 2:00, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, sounds good. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah. See everybody next week.